Hello, everyone. Let's talk a little bit about the globalization process because it is generally known now that technology, especially the internet, the new media, has made the globalization possible. Today, of course, we have the coronavirus, which is re-establishing the wrong side of globalization. There is no barriers to such an invisible kind of virus. But then, just a few months ago, we were talking about the rising nationalism in different countries, which was a sign of an anti-globalization movement. We were almost speculating that whatever the benefits or the disadvantages of globalization, that is now being refuted by the growing nationalism, the countries themselves trying to impose their own, special views or special ideas which was different from other countries. Meaning, in a way, they were trying to separate themselves from the globalization movement. But the corona virus has changed everything. We are back into a square one. The way it moves through the air, through everything, it doesn't need technology to move. And where we are talking in the new media, it was technology which linked country to country, people to people, and that is what we need to talk about in the new media classes. Now, I've given you names of two books. The cover pictures of two books. One by a Nobel laureate, Joseph Stiglitz, who talks about the problems of globalization, and whereas we have another Indian-born American, Jagdish Bhagwati. He is very eminent from Columbia University. He talks about how globalization has helped the world. Both the views are acceptable up to the extent which is rational. But then we have to keep in mind both the views. Well, let us talk about Joseph Stiglitz. He says that globalization has forced a kind of a culture or kind of a view of the dominant or the developed countries on the developing countries. So this is doing more harm than good. That was Joseph Stiglitz's view. Whereas Bhagwati said that this is an old, Marxist kind of a view, and I think what Bhagwati was saying, that globalization has existed much earlier. Like, for example, the British period, in trade, for example, the British government, the British had invaded India, had become a part of, initially as a trade, they came as a trader, and then they conquered the country. So there was a globalization much before the present day globalization. The second globalization, he says that it is made generally by the internet and the technological change that has brought. Now, I have already told you about how technology has linked the world. You do not know, when you are in WhatsApp or in Facebook, where you are living. Maybe your GPS will show you where you are stationed, but then you do not know when you get a phone call whether it is coming from Tokyo or New York or from Aurangabad. So the linking has been very smooth. So one way it is very exciting, but at the same time we need to keep in mind how this particular globalization has changed our culture. For example, trade. we have talked about the e-banking, the ATM systems, and the money transfers and everything. But more than that, initially when it started, there were hesitations even at the level of the corporate or at the municipality level. So it was the Scandinavian countries, the Netherlands, Scotland, Sweden. They were the first people who used internet to map their municipal resources, and now it has become very common today. Every municipality, even Calcutta here or anywhere in India, the municipalities have now been under the internet methods. You pay your taxes, through the internet today. You don't have to go for long queues. So these things have really become a part of life. Well. Another point which we have to keep in mind, that it has also, I've told you, we have referred to the Habermas and the public sphere, where we have seen that the new media has increased our discussion points. We have become a bit more interactive, which means we have more freedom of speech, which is a major contribution of the new media. It is not just we have been linked throughout the world through the globalization process. It has also made our sense of freedom much more stronger. Now, this idea of globalization, I would request you to read the 4th chapter of the book, New Media, New Poetics. And the 4th chapter gives you in greater detail, talks about, say, Jagdish Bhagwati, Joseph Stiglitz' view, the globalization views, and also a lot of the other things about, talking about our Habermas's views, the public sphere, and everything. Now, there is a reference to another book in that chapter, a book which is written by Thomas Friedman, and that book is named as "World is Flat." He, explains that how this new technology has changed lifestyle and our thought processes of the 21st century, and he means it, that the world has become flattened meaning, it has become closer, and he says there has been some developments in the world, and he catalogues them. Say the fall of the Berlin Wall, for example, the beginning of the Netscape. The Netscape was before the Microsoft and Google came into. That was the Microsoft search engine kind of a thing. Then Berlin Wall, the Netscape, workflow, concepts of workflow, outsourcing, offshoring, open sourcing, insourcing, supply chaining, informing, and the steroids. The steroids were earlier, it was the first stage of the mobile phone. Today we will be talking about saying the mobile phone as a steroid, but he was at that particular time, say about 20 years ago, it was called a steroid. So all these have brought in the changes, and he says that it is basically a brief history of globalized world in the 21st century. That is the subheading of his book, where he identifies 3 stages of convergence, which he calls triple convergence. The first stage consists of the 10 significant events in the world, which I just mentioned, starting with the fall of the Berlin Wall, which created a new flattened global playing field. As a new playing field became established, both businesses and individuals began to adopt new habits, new skills, and processes, get the most out of it. The second, the second view Other view was, the second convergence was, the new playing field was doing business with new habits, doing business. It has actually helped to flatten the world even further. Finally, when all of this flattening was happening, a whole new group of people walked out onto the playing field from China, India, and the former Soviet Union. Some of them were quickly able to collaborate, compete directly with everyone else. This is the third convergence, meaning there has been no upper and lower scale of people, rich and the poor. All have been, there has been a mighty leveling by this instrument called the internet. So these are the elements which you need to think over, and I would request you to read chapter 4. That will refer to a lot of background material, but you need to have this concept very clear, because how society has changed, how internet has impacted the society, how we think of the globalized world, and how this internet has changed our world.